Hey everybody, this is Dr. William Clark from the Dr. William Clark podcast. Glad to be with you for another episode. And this podcast focuses on all things nonprofit. We do tend to talk about fundraising quite a bit. I do want to talk about, just for a moment, want to pause here and talk about why grant writing hurts so much. And essentially, this topic comes up when people start to hear about submitting a grant, sometimes for the first time. And then for newer organizations that have been writing grants but just can't seem to figure out, what to do to get over the hump, this can cause some significant pain and frustration when they start to think about grant writing. And, some people are wondering, like, what causes grant writing to be so painful? What causes people to really just, clam up when you start thinking about grant writing, when you start processing the idea that we got to start writing grants? So I want to talk about three things that may be causing the pain. These three things that cause the pain, causing the pain rather, are the same three things that you can start to focus your energy on as you think about ways to get better at grant writing and to possibly change your attitude about grant writing. So the first thing to think about when you're considering what's causing pain when you think about grant writing is the fact that there's an absence of strategy within the organization. At multiple levels, there can be an absence of strategy at the organizational level where you're not sure, what you need to be doing to meet the goals of the organization and ways to serve the customer. And so that's a whole conversation that can go as deep as talking about the absence of a strategic plan and the fact that there isn't one, that it doesn't exist. And that can create all types of problems within your organization. So that can create just a frustration when you look at some of the grant applications that you got to complete. And there are questions about organizational stuff, your strategy, your forward look about the work, your programs, where's this going? How do you put your organization, your program in position to begin thinking about fundraising, grant writing, etc., at a serious clip? And so a lot of these questions tend to get answered within the grant app, within your strategic plan, but the absence of that can really create some challenges for you when you're not able to articulate as clearly what's going on within your organization. So the absence of organizational strategy can be huge. But more specifically, what I find to be a huge struggle point for a lot of organizations is the absence of a strategy when it comes to writing a grant. And so the absence of that strategy can really create a significant frustration. So we're talking about there's no strategy on how to find grants. There's no strategy on how to be responsive to grants. There's no strategy on how to be selective of which grants to pursue. There's no strategy about who's going to write the grant or how do you gather information within the organization to draft a grant. There's no pre-existing grant information at all, or organization information. Quite frankly, a lot of organizations don't even have that information organized in a singular location where it can be easily found, utilized, and inserted into a grant application. Again, all these things can frustrate the grant writing process. In addition, not knowing the grant due date and or you're waiting to the absolute last minute to write, draft, and upload this grant application. All these things create frustration. All these things can cause angst when you say grant writing to some organizations. And so you want to begin to think about, one, what's our broader organizational approach to grant writing, fundraising, etc.? How are we going to accomplish the operational goals that we've set out for ourselves and for our customers? And then what's our approach when we are confronted and offered with an opportunity to fund this idea? And you'll have tons of opportunities, whether it's a grant application, whether it's a sponsorship opportunity, whether it's a subcontracting partnership, or a flat 50-50 partnership, or another partnership in some form or fashion, individual donors, and other ways where funds may be coming your way. Those questions are not going to go away just because you may skip out or avoid grant writing. So you got to think about your approach to fundraising. The second thing that causes frustration within organizations when they're looking to write grants and raise money is the absence of results, the absence of performance. So when you get down to the part of the grant application that asks, what's the performance rate? What have you done? Give us some history. And on the flip side of that question is, well, what do you anticipate happening? Not just the anecdotal information you're going to provide about the program, the curriculum, and the process, but literally, what are the numbers that are going to be achieved on the other side of this? That's a serious question a lot of funders really want to know, and you're going to get that a lot. So the lack of performance, the lack of outcomes can be huge. A couple reasons for this. One, there are no key performance indicators for programs. Folks tend to, when you say, hey, what has your program done? Over the years, folks tend to say, well, I remember one student we served. I remember one family that we've helped. I remember that we've done X, Y, and Z. And it's a one-off story that, quite frankly, doesn't tell the story of the masses that you should be serving and helping. You shouldn't be so good that you're only able to help one family, one person, one youth, one individual returning from prison, one woman who's returning from a domestic violence shelter, one homeless person. You should be good enough where you're serving multiple people, multiple families. Those multiples create results where you can prove that our system, our process, our curriculum, our program, our infrastructure is structured to serve a very specific demographic, and here are the results of that. So the absence of that can create frustration when you get down to that section of the grant application. So how do you resolve that? You got to start getting results. There are a couple of ways to do this. Whether you volunteer your resources to collect data and to test your systems, you got to do it. And or you start to partner with other organizations in the same industry you're in, the same space, and start to capture the results of the partnership, because the partnership works in part because you're there, because you're offering what you offer and you're doing what you're doing. So any results you capture from there are critical. A partnership can be in the form of you and your team doing some of the work. It can also be in the form of you investing dollars. So you want to be thoughtful about the partnership and how you're approaching a partnership and how you're approaching the relationship to get results. It's all about performance. So the last thing that causes frustration and angst when it comes to grant writing is when organizations do not have pre-existing relationships that can make the process a whole lot easier. It does matter who you know. It does matter who you have a relationship with. It does matter that you're able to call up an individual, a friend, a partner, and say, hey, can we connect to talk about a future opportunity, whether it's available 6 months from now, a year from now. You want to lay that groundwork. Relationships matter. The absence of a relationship or relationships can put you in a position where you're competing for grants where you're already disqualified because you're not a known entity. You're not trusted. You're not respected yet. You can build that. So a couple of ways to build that. One, put yourself out there. Put yourself out there to meet with the right leaders from foundations, from other organizations. Partner with other organizations so you're now a part of an organization and a program that has visibility. So when that program with visibility says, hey, I need you to check out our partner here from Nonprofit X, that credibility transfers over to you. And now the spotlight comes on you. But here's the thing, you got to be thoughtful about this. When that spotlight comes, you got to realize that you got to perform. This goes back to, do you have a strategy for your program? Do you have a strategy for fundraising? Do you know how to produce results? So yeah, you know how to help a youth. Can you help 10 youth? Can you help 20 youth? Can you help 30? Can you help 30 women? Can you help 30 returning citizens? Can you help 30 homeless individuals? Can you help 30 families? Do you have the systems in place? That means, do you have a way of doing business, the way of operating a program that's consistent, yet considerate of the individual needs of every person, but consistent so that you can produce repetitive results that can be predictive, that can get consistent outcomes? Do you have the ability to do that? And so relationships alone will not do it. They will open doors, but if you're unable to perform, they will, just as fast as they open, those doors will close on you really, really quick. So those are the three things that we see that frustrate individuals when it comes to grant writing. We also gave you the antidotes to those things. So I'm going to encourage you to think about those things, process through these things, start to work through these things so you can explore ways to get better at grant writing, ways to change your perspective and your attitude about grant writing, but also to put in position your team, your organization, your board, your stakeholders, your friends, people in your network to help you push these things forward so you can get better. Now, if you're looking for coaching, support, help, I'm going to encourage you to go to DrWilliamPClark.com. Again, that's DrWilliamPClark.com. There you will find access to a number of resources, whether it's our new class, Fundraising Basis for Nonprofits. It's a masterclass. I'm going to tell you multiple courses, multiple segments that I'm covering. I'm giving you game. So you want to join in and take that class, or you would just want to jump into the nonprofit library where we talk about the 3 secrets to fundraising, or any other course that we have, from budgeting to how to grant write, etc. Go to DrWilliamPClark.com. I need you to go ahead and just take a class, register for a class, grab a class, be a part of what we got going on. Check out our entire library at DrWilliamPClark.com and just get the resources that you need in 2023 and beyond so that you can be effective at grant writing and fundraising and building programs that will attract funders. If you want to schedule a consultation with me, same website, DrWilliamPClark.com. I'm looking forward to connecting with you, looking forward to working with you, but I'm much more looking forward to seeing you succeed in 2023. With that being said, this is Dr. Clark. See you next time, everybody.